Right, so now we're trying to put everything together that we've learned. We're going to calculate the solutions of the equation below. So we know how to do quadratic formula at this point. We know what happens if we end up with a negative under the square root. It's telling us that our discriminant is negative, which is going to result in having two imaginary solutions. So we are going to be using I here. So I'm going to walk us through number 2 and then probably fast forward and just show you guys what's going on for number 3. So for number 2, I need to identify my A, B, and C. Once I have them identified, I'm going to plug them into the quadratic formula. Opposite B makes it 7, negative 7, plus or minus the square root of B squared, which is going to be 7 squared, minus 4 times our A value of negative 3, times our C value, divided by 2 times our A value. Cool. And as was said in a previous video, you could just put this entire part into your scientific calculator or into Desmos. You cannot put the entire quadratic formula, however. You cannot put this entire thing in your scientific calculator or on Desmos like you previously did. And the reason you can't put this entire thing in is because it will tell you that it's not real, right? We know that it's imaginary. So we actually do have to simplify by hand for a portion of this. But again, this part right here, the discriminant, I didn't circle that very well, but the discriminant, you can use your calculator for. Okay, so I get x equals negative 7 plus or minus the square root. 7 squared is 49. And 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times 15 is going to give us 180. And 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So I just want to keep simplifying. And I'm going to say, okay, well, under the square root, I see I need to do 49 minus 180. So 49 minus 180 is going to give us a negative 131 divided by negative 6. Well, 131 is not a perfect square. 121 is a perfect square, 131 is not. All right, so 131 is actually going to be a prime number. So if you try on Desmos or your scientific calculator to find the factors using this method that we've done before, when we do 131 or whatever the number is divided by x, and then we find all the factors, if you guys remember that back in factoring, you'd see like pretty quickly that nothing would work. So therefore, we're just going to make this negative 7 plus or minus square root of 131. Oops, 131. It's divided by negative 6. Now, I'm personally fine with this right here as our answer because it can't really be simplified down any further. So that would be the solution for number 2. And so again, I'm just going to write for number 3 and then maybe talk about it afterwards. All right, so for this one, again, I added 8 to both sides because you have to have the equation set equal to 0 in order to use the quadratic formula. I then identified my A is 2, my B is negative 4, my C is 10. I plugged in opposite B, which why I have a positive 4 here, and I plugged everything else in. When I simplified under the discriminant, I got negative 64. We should know at this point that 64 is a perfect square, and therefore the square root of negative 64 is 8i. So notice what I did here with the green circling and the purple circling. This is division. This is 4 plus or minus 8i divided by 4. So I need to divide each thing on the numerator by 4. So 4 divided by 4, that's where I got 1 from. 8i divided by 4 is where I got 2i from. Okay, so If you need to look at that again, just rewind the video.